affirmations. What are affirmations and subconscious reprogramming? Affirmations are the way, it's like a repeating something. Unhealthy, 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 unhealthy. It's, when you repeat something, it starts to break through into different levels of your consciousness. So the sort of analogy I use is like learning a song. Let's say you've got a song, and it's written out in front of you, and you're learning to sing it, and you play the song on the stereo, and you're singing the words. And as you practice, you might actually start being able to look away, and you start remembering the words, and after a while you go into a shut the book, and you can sing all the words while it's playing. And after a little while, you don't even need to play it, you can sing the whole song, right? When we repeat something and we learn it, we fire and wire our brain cells, but we're also changing the subconscious. And to the point where we can sing that whole song without actually thinking about it. So for a while there, maybe when it's not playing, we can think, oh, that's the next line, think. And then we get to a point where we can sing that whole song word for word out of a different aspect of our consciousness. Alright? So we can be, you could even be writing. You could write something, you could write something else and sing the whole song, word for word. So your conscious mind is here writing, your subconscious mind is singing the song. The song is playing out of your body. The song is singing itself through you. Right? This is the same way that affirmations work. That song has gone through your beta brainwaves into your alpha brainwaves into your body consciousness, into your subconscious. Right? So let's say you're sick and you say, I'm well. That's not really enough. Okay? If you repeat it, you're going to break through, and your body's going to start learning that you're well, and your body is actually going to start being well through you. All right, so it's really, really far out. So affirmations are that powerful. You can literally change any issue in your life by breaking through your subconscious, because your subconscious belief system is what is actually creating your reality. Okay, like, my subconscious belief that this wall is solid and I can't put my hand through it is what is stopping me from putting my hand through the wall, not me thinking about it. So the subconscious is that kind of building zone for our whole reality. And if in your building zone for your reality, you're telling yourself that you've got really healthy joints, then you're going to get really healthy joints. Your own internal chemical pharmacy is going to create the changes for really healthy joints. So that's one of the really cool things to do. Let's say you've got wrist pain, and you go, wrist, everything's really strong, every day, in the morning, before bed, whatever. You're actually going to break through your subconscious and break through to this whole chemical process that's actually going to create the gene expression, and you're going to up-regulate your gene expression for better bones, better, like all this sort of thing, all the synovial fluid in your joints is going to upgrade, because the proteins that are going to be made by those genes, they're going to be healthier proteins. When proteins get really bad, they call it cheap protein, where your body's just telling itself to make the worst proteins it can because you're dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff. You know? Yeah, it's far out. Okay. So, addictions. Most addictions are around because we're trying to mask something. We're trying to not deal with something. There's a recent YouTube video that was quite popular about addictions being around actually lack of human connection, lack of connection. That is very true as well, and I want to acknowledge that. But they were talking about more, you wanting to connect with a needle as opposed to someone. And I think there's a couple of little things there which may be a little bit off track, I believe. So, psychopharmacology. Psychopharmacology means that we are drugs and we make drugs. So something that's been really a bit of a theme with some people I've worked with in the last few years is they've become numb, not through taking anything. They've numbed their body by telling their body that they can't deal with the reality. And someone goes through a really bad division in their family, which is very traumatic for them. And because they just couldn't deal with it, they just started to kind of shut that out of their mind and just didn't want to deal with it. As opposed to thinking about it over and over again, they just went and just created a numbness. So their brain created what you could say is like an antipsychotic, right? Antipsychotics, the actual medication, makes their whole body numb. I mean, someone who's on antipsychotics, their actual skin feeling feels different. Everything feels different, which means their sexual connection as well as impaired. So you can numb yourself. You tell your body to be numb, it'll actually produce pharmacology you need to be psychologically numb and physically numb. Yeah? But then there's drugs you can use to do that too, like sedatives. So you could kind of call that self-imposed disassociation, numbing yourself. So let's say you're growing up in Adelaide and you have a traumatic experience, and you just go, you leave town and you move to Darwin or something like that, and you're living up in Darwin, you just never want to think about what happened in Adelaide. And you just start smoking a lot of ganja and drinking a lot of beer and just focusing on whatever you can. Like, let's say you start getting really into, watching every episode of Neighbours and Antique Roadshow you can, and just getting drunk and smoking ganja. And it's really interesting in the sense that you can completely shut out what you need to review to evolve. Everyone wakes up at the right time for them. That person might never actually look at the thing that they ran away from, and that's okay. Some people might try and help you, but we need to accept people in their own process. So self-imposed disassociation is basically completely blocking out these things we need to look at. And there's so many different ways to do it. There's so many different ways to numb ourselves and to be lazy. Many drugs that kind of slow us down can basically allow us to forget, and that's why some people do just get high all the time, because they feel like they're in a space of no responsibility, and maybe just not even, they're so out of it that they're not having to look at the trauma. Even just when you're in a lot of trauma, just going to sleep is great, because it's not there. So you want to expand the amount of time that you're not having to dwell on the thing that really hurt you, or the things that really hurt you. And that's something to take into account for people who experience that, where you just want to go to sleep, and the hurting stops. But then at the same time, there's ways to cope with this amount of stress and be awake and deal with your life, where you can, be on these psychiatric medications, or be drinking vodka all day. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So the amazing thing about this sort of addiction is, when you actually step up and deal with the trauma and let go, you don't need to disassociate yourself anymore. And you start wanting to experience reality from a clear place of connection and sensitivity. And again, like, the human capacity for healing is infinite. No matter how bad things seem, it's all potentially temporary if you want it to be. Some alcohol addiction is linked to our ethnicity, alright? And a lot of us who are Anglo-Saxon, that means kind of Britain, Scandinavia. To survive winter, you would drink fermented wheat products like beer and eat a lot of fatty foods, preserved fatty foods, or different wheat things, to get enough calories to survive winter so you can grow things again. So when you eat these certain things, your body was programmed to release dopamine to make you feel good, so that you survive winter. Now, we're not trying to survive winter anymore, but when we eat these certain foods from our genetics from that part of Europe, our body is going, that's really good. Eat more salami. Drink more beer. Yeah, you're going to survive. But we actually don't need to. And that's why you don't see these sorts of addictions happening in, say, Eastern culture as much. People don't get as addicted to their sort of saturated meats, saturated fat meats, and beer, and getting addicted to wheat products. So again, all these sorts of addictions are ways that we can kind of delve into a whole other realm of distraction from actually doing work. Tobacco is another one, a very complicated one. Because tobacco is a beautiful plant teacher, a beautiful spirit, a beautiful thing, and it's just been completely demonized in our culture, by people, but also kind of applauded and kind of pushed at the same time. It's very confusing. Tobacco releases serotonin and dopamine when you have it. So there's two different things there that make you feel good. But it's also a good way for people to calm their nerves when they're stressed. So it's like another one of those sort of stress management things, and you watch people who really, if you ever watch someone who really needs a cigarette, whoa, whoa. Whatever happens, it works. You know, especially if someone's shaking when they're going for it, you know? And that's this thing, and so it's a stress management tool, right? That hit, and then the chemistry that it releases is addictive, but the disassociation and alleviation from the stress is very effective, all right? But then we've got a tolerance to it, so you need more and more and more and more, you know? And it's an amazing thing. So again, we're coming back to this original cause of stress, how to look at where the stress comes from, and how to, like we had the car and thinking about all the different things. A lot of this sort of stress is just what we're thinking about. It's not the environment. Our body is tuned to believe what we tell it, you know? And through evolution, we're going, whoa, everything's really threatening, survival of the fittest, the Darwinian kind of illusion, you know? And the whole, I want to get back to that whole thing of like, we are taught to compete with each other. We are constantly being told we're in a threatening planet, and that if you go into a chocolate shop, there's going to be a terrorist attack, and that, you know, that we're going to, you know, lose the rugby and it's going to be terrible. And, you know, like, and then compete with people at work to get a promotion, compete with people at your university to get a promotion, or all these sorts of things, so that everything is a threat to you. So when you think you're in a threatening environment, your body's like, will behave like it's in a threatening environment, and you'll have to smoke 40 cigarettes a day to deal with it. You know? But you just need to look at the game, look at what you're being told, and just go over. Another thing I want to mention about food addiction is the frequency association between food and an emotion. Okay? This is really common with overeating. You can't finish your dinner till you eat everything on your plate. And if you don't finish your dinner, you go to your room. Okay. So, now let's say that everything on the plate is a bit too much for that kid. And they eat everything on their plate. And they eat it and they're like, you're like, well done, you know, you can have some dessert now, you can watch your favourite TV show, you can have some screen time or whatever. There's a reward system and a sense of completion, a sense of belonging, and a sense of group acceptance associated with overeating, right? With finishing everything on your plate. Now, when that person gets older and they eat a lot of food, there's a frequency association with that memory. Now what I mean is eating too much, and let's say it's a type of food, let's say it's pork chops, right? When I eat a lot of pork chops, I feel really good. Because when I ate pork chops when I was 8, my mum made me feel really good. We have a compounding association of the frequency of the food and the emotion compounding over time to the point where whenever I eat, I just feel self-acceptance. Cigarette smoking is very similar. Sometimes there's a peer pressure situation when people are teenagers. And when you do it working with clients, it's great because often these situations are the same. There's a peer pressure situation with smoking a cigarette, right? You smoke a cigarette, you feel like you're a part of the group, part of the tribe. A lot of us just want to be a part of the tribe in the end. And but then you're 40 years old and you smoke a cigarette and you just feel like you're part of the group. You feel like you're being accepted by everyone. You know, you feel like you're accepting yourself, but there's no one around. No one around. That cigarette is associated with the emotion of self-acceptance. So this is a frequency, the tobacco, associated with an emotional reward system, self-acceptance. So you go back in time and you tackle that in its juncture, just a juncture in your timeline. You go, let that go, get a new timeline where you're just like drinking watermelon juice and you're really loving yourself up. For 40 years up till now, and you're going, yeah, I'm still drinking watermelon juice and everything's cool. It's far out. You know, this sort of healing's far out, you know, and you're like, it's so not mainstream, and it's like, maybe it will be one day, but it really, really works. Like, I've been kind of throwing these ideas around for 10 years now, just going, what is going on? Because I've witnessed this so many times with clients that I've just gone, I have to understand what's happening here. And it really works. Like, you know, someone will come to you with anorexia. You deal with the emotional cause of the anorexia, the juncture, maybe something age 10, it's gone. And you'll see them on the street 3 months later and go, and I know not to do this anymore. How's the anorexia thing? They're like, what anorexia mean? Right? That reality is gone. Yeah? This morning I asked Morag, I said, how do you think about the symptoms before you came to see me versus the symptoms after? She's like, I don't really remember all that. Like, what do you mean? Like, you know, the main stuff. The main stuff you talked to me about. It's like, I shouldn't even ask her what it was. Because that reality for her is gone. Yeah? Her new reality is this different level of health and frequency. So, when you heal these timelines, especially something like the cigarettes, your body just lets it go. And your body goes, I'm healthy now, and I always was. Right? We're made of light. So these that's what I mean, it's like, it's an infinite capacity for healing. These negative health issues are just like, so gone. This is why you can get spontaneous remission from cancer, where the cancer disappears. It's like, someone just let go of something. You know, it's like,